Well, there's another Star Wars rumor, and this one came from Doomcock, who basically, as his source tells them, they're thinking of redoing the sequel trilogy. So there's been tons of rumors, a lot of them from Doomcock and others, about that they're more or less either just going to. The more likely one was that they were just going to ignore the sequel trilogy and devote more time to the period in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens and all of that. But there's been a couple of articles, putting all this together by Bounding Into Comics. They talked about Doomcock's idea that they were going to redo this. And then there was an article about Favreau, and it was basically kind of an overview of his take on Mandalorian and whatnot, and how a lot of it was not really planned out. He didn't, from the get-go, they didn't know they were going to have Luke Skywalker in it and all that. But eventually they get there, and but at the same time, he had said, yes, we're looking at means by which giving little hints and stuff at the beginning of the First Order and how the First Order came about. And because he says, looking at Force Awakens, it looks like the First Order is already well established. It's not something that's just starting. I actually hate the First Order idea. It's just a cheap knockoff of the Empire, and just one of the many things I wish they had not done at all. So that's early on there, but it doesn't completely knock out the idea that they're going to tweak things. Now, one of the theories was that now Grogu is going to fit into it, and they'll weave that into the story, and that'll explain Luke's attitude by the time you get to The Last Jedi and all that. The problem is none of that is on the screen in those films. So coming back and saying, no, this was going on in between the frames and off camera. It's just, I don't think so. So the Doomcock rumor is that they will present this series on D+, that'll work as like an expanded special edition of the sequel trilogy with extra footage and all that put in to tell the story. And at face value, I thought, well, there could be extra, scenes, and they could weave it back in and add extra stuff here and there that was left on the floor and all that to, have their special edition of it. And the idea of turning it into a series is recalling Snyder Cut, as the idea initially was announced that they're going to turn it into a 4-part miniseries. Now all of a sudden, no, that's off the table. It's just going to be a 4-hour movie. I don't know what happened there. There's all kind of weird things with that too, but keeping it on Star Wars. The idea is the same thing. You got the streaming service. They're all concerned about it. They're looking to the streaming service and betting on it big time. And having more of series, and rather than just 2-hour films or what have you, could play more into the business model of attracting subscribers. Well, one of the things I always come back to is that, the question is, can Star Wars be saved? And on the long term, and you can get other stories out of it and grow out of it, yeah, I suppose that's possible. But with the franchise it was, and the great hope and desire was to see a good reunion and send off for the beloved original characters. And they had that moment. They had that moment of a Beatles reunion, and they didn't do it. It's an absolute stunning thing. How do you mess that up? But they found a way. And then the moment came and went, and it's gone. And unfortunately, with the passing of Carrie Fisher, it can't be undone. So the tantalizing element of this rumor was that, according to this source that Doomcock has, says, well, they did shoot a reunion scene, and I guess this was meant to be a part of Force Awakens. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of details about it, although it apparently says the running time is 10 minutes. So, good Lord. You could split up a scene like that quite a bit throughout a movie, because 10 minutes of screen time is considerable. So, but what's the scene? They don't know. They said it was all shot in green screen, so it could take place anywhere. What was discussed? Did it add more to the story, more explanation as to what was going on, what happened to Ben Solo, and all that sort of stuff? Maybe. And so, if this is true, if there's enough there to build upon, and to add more of a narrative that's what I'm thinking. If they would do anything, and I think The Mandalorian and other series will lead to this, that there's more background and explanation for Luke Skywalker as the way he was in that film. It's not going to save the films overall. The Luke Skywalker character assassination in Last Jedi is the absolute worst of it. But the rest of the film is just really lazy and stupid. So it's just, all kinds of dumb things are in it. And so I don't know that that's going to fix it entirely, but the absolute hatred of it is the Luke Skywalker story in there. And if that wasn't in there, it'd probably be just, well, it's just a stupid film. I didn't really like it, and all this sort of thing. I don't think it would have been the anger that it got. So, but the moment of the reunion, all that being gone, even if you did a new movie and you CGI'd something or recast and all that, with the original characters, I don't think that would be well received. But if there is this footage that can be retooled and to give the reunion they want, but if it's just a reunion, hey guys, hey Han, hey Luke, hey Leia, and then that's it. Yeah, I don't know. But it is the interesting part of this that could achieve what seemingly is impossible to do. But if you did actually do it, you just cut it for some bizarre reason. But with the Lucasfilm and their story group the way it is, who knows? But if that is there, then maybe there's something to do about it. The rest of the rumor gets even more far-fetched after that, in that they would recast everybody with the possible exception of Adam Driver. So that means, I don't know about that, because if it was the idea that there was extra footage, if they could shoot some other scenes to weave it together with the original sequel trilogy films, to expand on it and try to fix the problems with it. And then you've got this other footage of the original cast members, and you put that together as this special series. That might work. That is sort of feasible. But the idea that they would recast everything and do it all over again, I don't know. Now, all of this banked on the idea that they lost on the merchandising. They just did not sell. The Star Wars toys just sat there collecting dust on the toy shelves. And so, but they still have all the casts of the models and whatnot of the toys, so they could simply change the heads and put them back out there. And if the series is a success, then the collectors will want those, Yeah, it could work, I suppose. But I'm extremely dubious of this. Now, Doomcock gets a lot of, people just don't like him from the get-go anyway. And every time there's a YouTube rumor, they forget the definition of rumor, which is the stupidity in it all. And he says it up front. It is a rumor. He cannot say that it's absolutely true and it's going to happen. He's had some rumors that didn't quite pan out. He's had some that did. And the way these work, I'm always finding myself repeating this in these videos, but it's so obvious, is that you get a rumor, it's somebody who might have gotten it second or third hand or even fourth hand, and parts of it are true, but it's muddled and messed up. And so some of these elements might happen. So maybe there's talk of an expanded film versions of the sequel trilogy, and some of these elements, and there's this extra footage in there, and it's just more or less just that and all that. But the rest, like the recasting and everything, I don't know. It could be as simple as they're going to have body doubles shoot some scenes and CGI their faces on it, but most of the footage will be the footage that's already shot, and something like that. But that's how that works. So it seems quite a bit. Doomcock has been chasing this idea that the plot idea from the cartoons of the Clone Wars and whatnot, of the world between worlds, and he calls it the Veil of the Force, could be used in a time travel plot that could undo what the sequel trilogy did. I guess, but I'm a little bit dubious on that too. But the desire for something like that is there, and you see little signs, you think, you take it to mean this, and there's like the logo for the Ahsoka Tano show, and boy, but that could just be a reflection of that's how she came to life, because she was supposed to have died in her fight with Darth Vader, but then Ezra Bridger brings her back through time and all that. So it could be there, and you look for clues and stuff. But the problem with looking for the clues and stuff is that Favreau interview where we're kind of making it up as we go along. So did he think? Of course, he did say fan feedback does influence the directions he takes the stories and whatnot. So I mean, keep doing the videos about your theories. He might say, "Hey, that's not bad. Let's do that." So, but this sounds like quite the Herculean effort to undo all this. Now, another thing about the rumors is a lot of it could be some amount of manipulation. It doesn't mean that Doomcock's source is manipulating Doomcock. It could be the source himself or herself is being manipulated. But a lot of theories where they'll judge where to go, just like Favreau said, that feedback and whatnot helps them, but also some people might be planting things out there, and to see the reaction to it and to where you go with it. Well, recently another Bounding in the Comics article where this author John Del Aros, or Aros, I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing the name right. He does they call him the Justified author, and he did a series of the AI Wars, and it's like the Nano Knights or the Nanos Templar or something like that. But anyway, he has a YouTube channel, and he weighed in on this little dust up here about the High Republic and the woman that was going to host the show, or I guess still is. They stand by her. Went on these racist rants on Twitter about white people and on and on and on. And he's saying that, this is all a part of the marketing strategy because nobody cared about High Republic. It got no numbers. No one was interested in it. And, of course, it looks really slap job type work done on it. And so here comes this little scandal. And, you got to support High Republic because the white supremacists don't want you to. Something like that. And the idea that they pushed her to do this over the last summer, boy, that really is wicked. I mean, this woman puts her face on this. These aren't her actual ideas or anything? I don't know. But it's not completely unheard of. There's certainly elements of utilizing things like racism and as cover for lackluster and shoddy work. Seen it time and time again, and you can go all the way back to sort of the template for the Ghostbusters 2016 movie, where all they had was that they were going to gender swap the characters, and that's about it. Well, not a complete gender swap, but it's just going to be this all-female cast, and that's all they had. The movie itself really had nothing going for it, and the idea is you could shame people into the seats because if you don't go see Ghostbusters, you're a misogynist. And it failed. It terribly failed. No one fell for that. And yet they did it again and again and again for other movies and stuff. And if it's not feminism, then it's racism or something like that, as cover for pretty much an empty book. There's nothing there, and so you almost never talk plot points with anyone defending these films or anything. It's never about the story or the character development, because there isn't any. It's always about the isms, the issues, and it's a platform for preaching to people and all this sort of stuff. And I guess that aspect of it, he's right, and that is utilized. But also the idea of stirring up try to stir up a hornet's nest to get interest and notice, because no one cared about High Republic, but now through this nonsense, it's out there for people to pick up on. And gee, I hope someone will get curious about it and pick up a book or a comic book on this series. Well, again, I'm dubious on that. I don't see it having worked all that well for movies. He goes on to say that Captain Marvel was a model for this, with Brie Larson being snotty about men and all that. And that was all part of the plan. And to use that for a movie that just wasn't all that. It didn't have a whole lot going for it. But that's not all they did. Captain Marvel's main selling point was that it was sandwiched between Infinity War and Endgame. And I know people say, oh, but so was Ant-Man. Yeah, but not in the way Captain Marvel was. Ant-Man didn't get a cliffhanger stinger at the end of Infinity War. Captain Marvel did. And it insinuated that seeing Captain Marvel was really important to be ready for Endgame, and that, there would be some stories in there and there's nothing. There's nothing there. You didn't need to see it. It was a bait and switch. And so that went a long way of helping out that. Stuff like Ghostbusters and Terminator Dark Fate. Oh, no, they didn't have anything like that. So, well, you see the result. So I don't think he's completely got it here. He's guessing that that's what they did, and to some extent, I'm sure they did and do. But the idea of having this woman go out there and just ruin her name, I don't know. I think this is stuff she probably really believes. But nevertheless, Star Wars decided, or Lucasfilm, somebody at Lucasfilm decided, hey, let's take advantage of that, and people will buy Star Wars: The High Republic to prove they're not white supremacists or racists or what have you. I don't think that's going to work. But the manipulation certainly is there. So, it'll be interesting to see, because probably some elements of is as grand as it sounds of Doomcock's rumor here could be true, especially tantalizing, of course, goes back to this supposed 10 minutes of footage. And then how much could you build on it? Because they talked about they used cut footage for Rise of Skywalker to have Carrie Fisher in it. And if that's what it's going to come out to be, I don't think it's worth the trouble. But maybe someone's got an idea that they can weave it through and make it work. But it's the closest thing I can see that if it's really good and someone can fashion it very well, and you give them that reunion they wanted, and you don't just slap it in there, you've got to make it fit and flow well. Yeah, it might go a long way repairing damage from that. But this kind of shenanigans with High Republic and all that sort of, oh God, you just had this great moment of Luke Skywalker's return, and then now look at this. Calling your customers, your fan base racist all the time. I just fail to see where that's a good business model. So once again, time will tell with all of this, but the likelihood is there's something is true here, but how much of it, just don't know. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to IndiePlanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr. Nelson Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nelson.